Here are some of the mistakes I see new freelancers making in meetings with clients. The first one is not listening. So I see this one quite a lot, and it's kind of meant to be quite well-intentioned, but it doesn't work. The freelancer ends up either interrupting the client to finish their sentence because the client has started talking about them and their problems, and the freelancer immediately jumps in with like a solution, or maybe even tries to finish the client's sentence to prove they understand what they're talking about. Really don't do that. When you're in a client meeting, just let them talk like 80% of the time, and you just take information in. Jumping to conclusions on what the client needs is actually going to make you look less informed. It's also going to make them feel like they're just getting this out of the box package, which I mean, generally they are to some point, but even with like my SEO packages, they need to be tailored exactly to the client's needs. And in order to get to the bottom of what they need, I really need to listen, right? The second thing is not asking enough questions. So when you're in a client meeting, you need to know everything. You need to get as much information as possible. I always say to my clients in meeting one, you really cannot tell me or send me too much information at this point. I want to know everything. And I ask loads of questions, you know, like, what have they done before? What's worked? What are they aiming to do? I might ask what their internal resources are. Just ask everything that you possibly can to make your job better for them. They are going to appreciate that. And like I said before, you just want to keep them talking, really. You don't really need to push yourself on them. They want to know that their supplier has got their back. The third mistake I see people make, this happens when you're like in a junior position compared to like say like a manager or a senior above you. If they're not in the meeting and the client asks for something that you can't answer, like a price, for example, rather than saying, oh, we need to speak to my manager about that, I think it's better to say something like, we'll put a quote together and we'll send it over after this meeting, something like that. Because what you don't really want to do, especially if you're going to be the person dealing with the client, is undermine your authority. Even though you might not be the most authoritative person, they don't really need to know that. And as soon as they do know that, they think they can just kind of call the more senior person in the business to get what they want. And it should never be like that, right? You're authoritative and so is your senior.